and the Chinese people are actually the victims of the CCP regime. And now we're actually under the unrestricted war, which is the bioweapon that was released by the Chinese Communist Party. So my question is, what is the role of rule of law to reveal the truth of virus and now the COVID-19 vaccine? Could you share a little bit about that? Thank you.
Look, Miles, once again, was so far ahead of this and telling us exactly what happened in late 19, over that holiday period in 19. Well, he actually warned America when he first came. He warned the West that the Chinese Communist Party was prepared to do things like this. And they would have no restraints, no restrictions on actions they would take to take down the West, right? Including they didn't care, and this is very tough for Americans to understand, they don't care how many Chinese that they kill in the process. They just don't, as long as they're in control. And so if you see the development of that messaging, which quite frankly was not embraced by the West. If you look when Miles first came here, if you go back to that very first conference he had in the warning to the West, I would say a lot of that has happened in our political elites and financial elites and business elites don't want to listen because remember, they're in partnership. Many of them are in partnership with them in making money off the slavery of the Chinese people. So they don't want to change. The Party of Davos and the World Economic Forum and all the global corporations and Wall Street. But if you look at when it was really brought to light in late 19 and early 20, it's the whole reason we shifted War Room to cover this. And people laughed at us. People in Washington, D.C. said, I'm changing it to pandemic because of Hubei province in Wuhan. They said, this is ridiculous. This is you and the crazy Miles Guo again. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And of course, a month later, it changed the entire world. And it's changing the world today. Remember, as we sit here on the third anniversary, Austria has announced, Austria, one of the greatest countries in the world, one of the most peaceful and prosperous countries in the world, have announced a full lockdown of every citizen. And on February 1st, they are said, they're going to say what Miles Guo warned about. They're going to force vaccinations of every citizen. No choice. Force vaccinations on 1 February of everything, which Miles warned about. And people said, no, that'll never happen. But now you have one of the most stable countries in the world, one of the most peaceful countries in the world, one of the most prosperous countries in the world saying on 1 February, every citizen in Austria must be vaccinated. So what I think the last year since the Wuhan CCP virus has come forward is to understand what the West is only coming to realization. Since 1949, the Chinese Communist Party has murdered in cold blood 90 to 100 million Chinese citizens through starvation, through torture, through execution, through prison camps, all of it. At least 100 million of its own citizens. No government on earth has ever done that to their own citizens in history. In addition, they've done forced abortions of 400 to 500 million Chinese babies. 75 to 80% are young Chinese girls. Think of how productive China could be if you had, if you had that addition of free Chinese. So no, I think with the last year and a half, and let me just add one current thing. It's what's so shocking about the kowtow of the Biden regime. They had a 4-hour summit on Monday night. And in 4 hours, not 1 second, they never mentioned Wuhan. They never mentioned the CCP virus. They never mentioned anything. And that to me signals to the world how weak they are and what desperate straits we are and how the U.S. government has gone from the strength of Trump and the confrontation of Trump to now the complete tributary state and kowtowing. And so, no, I think that the last year since CCP virus came out in January of 20, since we knew about it, it obviously came out earlier. It's been, I think, the most enlightening year. And I think rule of law, whistleblower movement, new federal state has to make sure that they work overtime for more defectors, more people who know what really happened and can bring evidence, particularly bring evidence so that we don't have to have the vaccine, the problem with the vaccines because we don't actually know what was in the virus itself. In addition, I don't think there could be any doubt whatsoever that the Chinese Communist Party is prepared to put forward another virus, right? They're completely callous to the Chinese people like in Wuhan. Remember, as we sit here today, and I think Miles can correct me, I think the official deaths out of China is something like 3,000. I mean, it's so ludicrous, right? So no, this has been and we're in a very, very, very dangerous time right now.